What I'm going to be talking about today is kind of a 3-day fast, which is a good place to kind of get people started. You feel bad the first couple days, but then by that 3rd day you feel totally re-energized and revitalized. So it's a great way to start the fast. So I'll tell you a little bit about me. My name's Heidi. I grew up in, like many people in America, a standard American family, kind of watching my family and friends go through different doctor's visits and, not really getting the answers that they were looking for. And so throughout my childhood, I was always looking for those other ways. Like there's got to be other alternatives to these drugs and surgeries and stuff. And, I happened my way through the Colorado foothills, which totally raised me, putting my feet into the nice rivers that we have and running through the open spaces, climbing trees, and it really brought health to my body, even growing up. And so I knew that there had to be a way to harness this and, share it for the world. So through my education, I ended up finding naturopathic medicine and realizing what a naturopathic doctor is and all the amazing things that we can do for the body without pharmaceuticals and without surgery, and using our own bodies to heal ourselves using food, nutrition, clean water, clean air. And so I pursued my degree in nutrition from CSU and then moved down to Phoenix, Arizona to get my doctorate in naturopathic medicine. And then luckily I was able to find an awesome job here back in Denver, so I was able to come home. Oops. All right, so why fasting? So in case you guys haven't realized, our country is kind of sick, and we're sick with a lot of chronic diseases. So the top 3 killers of Americans is heart disease, which is high blood pressure, stroke, heart attack, cardiovascular, atherosclerosis, cancers, and COPD and respiratory issues, which that 3rd one is almost solely responsible of tobacco products and cigarette smoking. But the first 2 are 60% of the deaths in America, and they are almost 100% preventable. So back 100 years ago, the only people that got cancer, that got diabetes and heart disease were very rich people because they were able to afford those rich foods. Well, today, everybody can afford those rich foods. So unfortunately, more and more of us are getting, the heart disease and the cancers and things like that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about atherosclerosis and heart disease. So here's kind of a picture of what a normal artery looks like at the top. And that's when we have, good blood flow moving in and out, so our circulation is good. However, if we get just a little tiny tear in our artery, our immune system is going to take over. So it's going to load in white blood cells, and we're going to get this plaque formation. And then, the more our arteries are damaged, the more plaques that's going to build up, and around the plaque we get the atherosclerosis and that cholesterol. So what happens? Our blood pressure goes up because now we can't get circulation to our toes and our fingers anymore because we're having all of these clots and the hardening of the arteries. So our blood pressure goes higher. So you go to the doctor and he said, hey, you know what? You got high blood pressure. And what does he give you? Like any good American doctor will do, he'll follow standard of care and you'll get a diuretic. So diuretic is kind of a water pill, and it'll help you pee out your extra water, which will lower your blood volume. Lowering the blood volume will, in fact, lower your blood pressure, so that on paper, you look like a normal, healthy person. However, we're changing our physiology by doing that, and now we're not able to pump all the way down to our fingers and our toes, because we don't have that high blood pressure that our body was giving us for a reason. So, we're doing these things and giving these medications in order to try and really, we're stopping the physiology of the body and saying, you know what, I know better than your body knows on how to make you healthy and, how to help your blood pressure. So, of course, I'm a naturopathic doctor and I don't want to give, diuretics, even natural diuretics and things like that. I want to actually help the body to heal itself. And blood pressure is one of the number 1 things that fasting is good for. So through fasting, you obviously are clearing your body of waste products. So you're clearing your body of all the things that kind of hang out in your colon and in your digestive system. And by doing that, we don't have, the immune system doesn't have to be in the gut. And then it doesn't have to go into the blood. You have cleaner blood because we've been cleaning it out. We're emptying your colon, emptying all of those things. So the immune system is better. These tears in the artery wall, even if they're there, it'll be a quicker way for the body to kind of rebuild them up. And they'll be able to send them to the liver, send them to the spleen, kind of get it all out of there as our waste removal, and lower your blood pressure naturally, but in a good way. So we're kind of helping the body more than we're hurting the body. So if this is what is happening today, what was happening 100 years ago, before all the fast food and before the processing and stuff? So if you look at here, in the 1900s, most people were dying of influenza, tuberculosis, and infections. So this is before we had antibiotics, before we had good hygiene. I mean, this is the days where the surgeon would go in after cutting out someone's appendix and go deliver a baby, and they didn't realize that there was this transfer of bacteria back then. So with the use of antibiotics, with hand washing, better hygiene, we've been able, and vaccines and things like that, we've been able to kind of cut down on these infections. But now we're turning more into the chronic diseases, which, yes, you can stay alive longer, but is your life actually optimal? Are you 70 years old and going out hiking, or are you 70 years old and not able to get off the couch because you're in so much pain and you're suffering? So, I mean, it's no surprise that we're having all these issues today when you kind of look around at the advertisements and see what we're constantly being bombarded with in our daily life. I mean, even from a young age, we're seeing all these ads on TV, and at some point it just becomes a brainwash, and you don't know what else to do but buy the Big Mac and go drink 7-Up and things like that. So over the past 50 years, you can see this is an obesity trends through America. So back in '85, I mean, there were hardly any states that were even 10% obesity. And fast forward, and we have to, throughout the years, and throughout studying nutrition, I've watched them create new colors for this graph because our population is getting so unhealthy and so overweight and obese, really, which is considered a BMI of higher than 35%. And we like to stay, below 20% for a nice, healthy person. But enough about the problem. I think we're all aware of it. I'm kind of a solutions-based doctor, so let's talk about the solution. So through the years, especially in the 90s and the 200s, we've had tons of diets. I mean, between, the Atkins diets or just reducing calorie amounts. And, sometimes it's, let's go low sugar, and others it's, let's go low fat. But either way, with all of those diet ideas, we still are in the same epidemic as we are. And it actually, the research has shown that if you restrict calories, your metabolism will slow down because you don't have enough energy to keep going on where you're going. However, if you completely fast, it builds your it builds your metabolism. So when you're fasting, you're producing more of the adrenaline and noradrenaline so that you can go out, think thousands of years ago, you could go out and go for the hunt and find, the animal, or go and scavenge for the food that you're looking for because you have all this energy now. So if we utilize that in a fast for today, it's not, it's not just a decrease in the calorie amount, it's a total fasting from calories. So your body gets to eat its own calories. So by doing this, your liver is processing all of that waste that has been kind of stored there because we've had an abundance of food. And so we fast, and it has to now eat its food, or it has to eat itself in order to produce food. And so our bodies are brilliant, and what are they going to do? They're going to eat the most damaged cells first, and they're going to reuse all that cellular material to build new cells and to continue this processing so that we can go out and, hunt and scavenge for our next meal. So, yeah, so I kind of talked about the calorie restriction versus the fasting, and let's see. Yeah, so Today, a lot of us like to use fasting for to kind of decrease our weight a little bit, but you can also use a fast therapeutically. So for cancer, for instance, cancer cells are very used to burning glucose. So they like to eat all of the sugars in our cells, or all the sugars in our bodies in order to survive. If you starve your body, you're you're not giving them glucose, and cancer cells can't survive on fat like our brain can and like our nervous system can. So they will slowly start to, deteriorate. Think about if you get sick with the flu or a cold, one of the best things to do is to fast, so that all of your immune system doesn't have to work in your gut and your bloodstream trying to, decide, is this food good for me? Is this food, not good for me? And it's just working on whatever that bacteria or virus is and trying to get it out of the body. So fasting when you're sick is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. Because again, our bodies are constantly trying to repair ourselves. We have to remember that. Our body's our best doctor. So it knows what you need and it knows how to do it. All you have to do is put it in the right environment and give it the right nutrition in order for it to do what it needs to do. So let's talk about fasting. So there's a few rules to fasting. So first, I always recommend that anybody, any age, any health, situation, definitely go find a doctor who's comfortable treating people during a fast. Get a full exam, get blood work done, so that you're okay to fast and you're not going to be hurting your body if you do it. Another thing, you need to plan your fast. So don't just let's fast tonight. Make sure that either it's on a weekend when you get to relax, or it's on a time where you say I'm gonna do less, because while we're fasting we also need to be resting because we're not getting all that calories, we can't burn as much energy. Also, I learned this one the hard way. Don't tell anybody you're fasting. Nobody wants to hear that you're fasting. I guarantee you, anybody you tell, they'll say, no, don't do that. What are you doing? You're gonna die. You're gonna use up all your calories. This isn't healthy, this and that. So just, you don't need to mention it. Tell them after the fast and tell them how great you feel, and it'll go over a lot better. So like I said, rest and relax as much as you can. Drink plenty of water throughout the fast, because not only are we resting our body, but like I said, our liver is working overtime to clean up all those dead cells, or all those, not as healthy cells, and so we need to flush all that waste out of our body. So make sure you're drinking plenty of water, and then obviously you're fasting, so don't eat. Even chewing gum will kind of stimulate the wrong enzymes. Smoking, drinking alcohol, and even exercising. I recommend that people don't exercise during fasting. There are some doctors that do recommend exercising, and certain athletes, if you train well, fasting and then exercising can actually benefit your performance overall. So that's kind of a talk for a different day if you guys are interested in that. So another thing that fasting will do is not only is it going to make you healthier, make you skinnier, but it's also going to kind of revitalize your taste buds. So after a period of time of fasting, if you try to go back to your normal diet, you'll notice that things don't taste well anymore. Oftentimes I hear patients say oh yeah, I went on a 3-day fast, and then the next day, some of my friends went out to eat and I tried some chicken wings and they just didn't taste like they used to taste. Well, yeah, because really you don't need the nutrients that are probably in those chicken wings, and so your body's like, well, wait a second, why don't you give me those, good nutrition and, the good vegetables and things like that I do need. And you'll be able to tell, juice fasting. So I think juice fasting is the best of both worlds. You get to fast and you get to rest your digestive system, but you also get all of the nutrition of all the foods that you're juicing. So you don't have to worry about digesting and absorbing anything, it's just absorption. So it's much quicker to get all of the vitamins, and you get a higher concentration of vitamins, minerals, and then also all the phytonutrients that come from the vegetables. So let's talk about the juicer. So as some of you have noticed, I prefer the Champion juicer, which is a masticating juicer. That means that it's kind of like teeth, and it's going in there and grinding up all of your food. versus the centrifugal juicer, which has blades on the inside and it cuts the food and then spins it around really, really quickly, and all of the juice kind of runs out, and what you have left is the pulp. So that is going to cause your vegetables to oxidize more, and oxidation is like the apple turning brown. So we don't want any of our juices to turn brown, whether they're in our glass or in our stomach. So I like the masticating juicer. The prices are usually a lot different. The masticating juicer is more expensive, between $150 to $300, versus the centrifugal juicer you can find around $50 at Kohl's, and even on Amazon I was looking. So next is the produce. So this is, to me, the most important part. First of all, you want to do an 80-20 rule. So you have 80% fruit, or 80% vegetables and 20% fruit. So we don't want all of that sugar from the fruit. We want it to be more on the vegetable side, because that's where more of our vitamins and minerals are coming from. It's also extremely important to find good produce. So the number one produce you should be looking for is from the farmer's market. So locally grown, seasonal, organic, and right in your backyard. So not only are we getting the benefits of having the organic produce and we don't get any of the pesticide residues, but it's also beneficial to eat food from where you're living. So for instance, if we were to take this beet, so if this beet was grown in Colorado, it doesn't have as much oxygen in the air as, say, Florida, because we're at a higher elevation. So this beet has to figure out how to survive in the high mountains of Colorado without that much oxygen. So in turn, and especially for beets, because they have affinity for our liver and our gallbladder, we're gonna get so much more of that iron and the oxygen carrying capacity from it, because we ate it from Colorado, because those mechanisms that it created in order to survive are going to get turned into us when we eat them. So it's kind of a cool energetic play that the produce gives us as well. So, you know, if it's middle of winter, or before I even say that, another thing about seasonal produce is great too, because you kind of want to, if you look at the vegetables that are grown in each season, it'll kind of tell you like how you should be in the season. So in the springtime, you get all green leafy vegetables, and it's kind of like perky and like, okay, let's get up from our slumber. Versus in the fall and the winter, it's all the root vegetables that we're going to be getting. So that's much more of like a deep, kind of grounding, earthing feeling that we want in the wintertime to keep us warm and to, you know, get us ready for the hibernation, if you will, of the wintertime. So if you can't get local produce and you can't get seasonal produce, the next best option, of course, is to just find organic. Because when we're juicing produce, we're getting the most concentrated amount of those vitamins and minerals. And if we have conventionally grown and they have a bunch of pesticides sprayed on them, guess what? You're also getting the pesticides. So we definitely want to avoid that. And especially, you know, definitely when we're eating, obviously too, but when we're juicing, it's most important to make sure you buy organic, which is why I love Natural Grocers, because all of their produce here is organic. You don't have to guess, you know, where am I getting this from? And they do try to source local too, when possible. So the juice that I picked out for tonight is a seasonal one. So it's a red zinger. If you guys look on your menu, it's one of the first ones. So carrots and actually all of them. So carrots, beets, and apples are growing around Colorado right now, and it's a great time for them. If you go to the local farmer's market, you will see just lines and lines of beautiful, even like you can see here, of just awesome beets and carrots and things. And then just for the taste, we have lemon as well. All right, so let's get started. So you're gonna want to make sure you cut all of your vegetables into cubes, kind of, so that they fit into this juicer here. So while I'm cutting these, do you guys have any questions for me that came up over the course of the talk at all?
I do.
All right, go for it.
When you're fasting, I've heard that it's good to drink salt water, salinated water, rather than just add a little bit of salt to it.
Yeah, totally. So we want to maintain our electrolyte balance while we're fasting. So when you're doing a complete water fast, you're not getting any of these minerals and vitamins, which are electrolytes. And it could throw off not only your blood chemistry, but also like your heart rate and your rhythm. Most healthy people will be able, our bodies are able to adapt to the fast, which is why we have outlived a lot of our, a lot of the like primates and other animals throughout evolution, is because our brains are able to use ketones. So for most people, a complete water fast is okay. I don't recommend that, of course, before talking with your doctor and getting approved on that, because there are a few people that it's not good. But yeah, so taking salt water is good. Some people also recommend bone broth, because you get not only the minerals and electrolytes from that, but you also get a bunch of the collagen and like a lot of the stem cells that we get out of the bone marrow. So that's another option if you want to include that with your juices. I've also seen other people recommend like doing milks, like making your own almond milk or cashew milk or something like that, so that you get more. It's more than just water fasting. You are getting those minerals and stuff. But that's a good question.
How would you go about making your own almond?
That's a good question too. So what you do for the almond milk is grind up the almonds and put them in a bunch of water and let them sit for like 48 hours or so. And then you're shaking them every 8 hours or whatever, whenever you think about it. And then literally just strain out the almonds and you're left with kind of an almond milk. Yeah, it's super simple. And all of these almond milk companies are taking total advantage of us because they're, expensive things, but really it's very easy to do. It's just water. Just water almonds or water cashews. Yep. Whatever you like. Yeah, good question. Juice fasting is also a good idea for kiddos. So when people are sick, I often recommend that they don't eat, like I was saying, so that your immune system can focus more on healing your body than digesting food. And so when kids are sick, because they're still growing and everything, and I recommend a juice fast. So not a water fast, but a juice fast, because kids love juice and it's a good way for them to still get their vitamins and minerals while reaping the benefits of, fasting and getting better quicker.
Would it still be that combination of food if you have just like with a cold?
Yep, yeah. And the combinations are really completely up to, your taste buds, your creativity. I mean, these are ones that I prefer to do because they taste good. But honestly, if I'm doing a 5-day fast and on day 4, I'm out of half my ingredients, I'm just gonna throw things together, put it in the juicer, and see what it tastes like. And if it doesn't taste good, plug your nose, chug it down, and don't make it again. All right, so I'm gonna turn this on. It might be a little loud. Could you fill this with water for me, please? So another thing to do as you're juicing is to put water into it so that you're cutting the juice with more liquids. Because like I said, we want to stay hydrated through all of this. So you're going to be able to get more of the nutrients out instead of the wasted stuff that comes out of here. So like every few pieces, I like to just put a little bit of water and see how it's still orange coming out the bottom there. The order you juice does not matter at all. You can throw in whatever you want at any time because it's all going to get mixed up together anyways. So another thing about the oxidation. So I'm sure you've noticed lately that there's a lot of companies that are starting to juice and put juices out in stores. Well, the longer you let a juice be juice, the less nutrients that are going to be in it. Because even if it's sitting on a shelf in an airtight container, there's still enzymatic processes that are breaking down all of those good nutrition. So the ideal way to juice is to do it daily, with your own juicer, so that you know you're getting the highest quality of not only the vegetables and fruits, but also the juice itself. Yeah, how long can you leave the juice in the fridge? So like I said, every minute that it's out, it's oxidizing. So I try to drink my juices within a day. When I was in medical school, I was at school for 12, 14 hours a day, and I would make one giant juice and put it in like a gallon-sized container, bring it to school, and then drink on it throughout the day. Because that's the other thing, when you're juice fasting, you don't want to be hungry. You have food to drink, and so make sure that you're giving that to yourself so that you can, continue throughout your life. Which is also why a juice fast is something that's a little more easily done in our modern day. Like, you don't have to stop work to juice fast. You don't have to take a vacation from anything. You can continue on with your daily activities and still get all the benefits of resting your colon and your digestive system. Another thing I like to do is periodically taste the juice, so that if there's any, the recipes are there to follow, but if you taste it and it's like, ooh, yeah, we need a little more apples, or, don't put the extra half of that lemon in there, you'll kind of know as you're going. And it always turns out such a beautiful color. I don't know if you guys can see how beautiful it is, though. The reds and the oranges. Thanks for joining me with my juice fasting class. Stay tuned for more episodes of Dr. Heidi's Healthy Habits. See you next time.